everyone, so the last video I did about relaxing places in Morrowind actually did really well. I loved reading all your comments about the places that you find really relaxing, and you guys were really nice, just saying like, oh, I'm so glad I found this video. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because that was so nice to see. I'm so glad that people enjoyed it. And I was talking about how I wanted to do also creepy places, the most creepy places in the game. So today is the day where I'm gonna do that. I compiled 20 creepy places. Now some of these places are less creepy, maybe, like eerie, and a little more like, a couple of them might not even seem creepy to you, others might seem like this is straight up just horrifying and rather than creepy. But I did my best to compile 20 places that I found real creepy. I've probably forgotten some places. I'm sure I have. There's probably just places I haven't been in the game or just didn't think of. So let me know which places that you find really creepy that I maybe forgot. And yeah, without further ado, let's get on to the first place. Okay, so the first place I've chosen, you might be thinking like, what the heck, this is not really creepy, like why'd you choose this place? I'll explain. And I'm just kind of starting off light right now, but the first place I chose is a place that is just so weird to me. So basically, what is this called? So it's on Mount Asarnabibi, which is kind of the mountain nearby Saran, kind of to the east of Saran in the Ashlands. And it's, there's a shrine here, Asarnabibi Shrine, and if you click on it, it says this is the birthplace of Almalexia. Now I'm sure this is probably related to temple pilgrimages in some way. I haven't actually done those quests yet, but to me, I just kind of, for me, I happened upon this place one day, and there's just something about it that creeps me out so bad. I don't know what it is. It's not even really like that, it's not like scary, but there's something so bleak and kind of weird, unsettling about it. The fact that, look, the shrine is like tilted, but it's just kind of in this, surrounded by these big pointed rocks here, and it's kind of a calming place, I guess. It could definitely be considered a relaxing, calm place up in the mountains here, but I think there's just something really weird about the fact that this was Almalexia's birthplace. And if you think about Almalexia, she's like this, you know, woman who's turned to a god. She's, you know, very like kind of decorated, and like her city, like Mournhold, is this really big kind of grand place. And then you see the place she was born, and it's just like this really bleak location. Like there's really nothing up here. I don't know if there's maybe like, you know, people living up here at the time when she was born. There probably was, but you go up here now and it's just like this empty place up in the mountains with this one shrine that just kind of looks so lonely. And there's something creepy about mountains for me too. Like, that might just be a personal thing, but mountains have always creeped me out a little bit. Again, they can be very calm, relaxing places, but at the same time they can be very lonely, I guess. You're up in the mountains, there's not much going on up there. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything more I can say about this. It's just a place that is kind of stuck out to me in its bleakness, and just imagining Almalexia being born up here. Just weird. I don't know how else to explain. It's just it's a weird place. There's mods that add some like lanterns and make it feel a little more like decorated and stuff, but yeah, in the base game it's just this really kind of bleak location with just this little shrine that tells you this is the birthplace of Almalexia. So anyway, that's about all I can say about it. Moving on to the next one. Okay, so this next area is actually right next to the last area. And you'll see why this scares me, probably. It's called Mesa Shamus Egg Mine. And as you walk in, you can see it's a blighted egg mine. The air is red, and this guy immediately starts running at you. like, at a really fast speed. And yeah, so basically, this isn't the only blighted egg mine, but when I first discovered it, I was just, I guess it's less creepy and more just like, it made me panic as I immediately walked in because of how fast these guys are running at you. Like, they just immediately hone in on you and want you dead. And yeah, there's something particularly scary about the Kwama workers, which normally are non-hostile. Like, I think the Kwama warriors are always hostile, but the workers are never really hostile, and so seeing them just immediately running at you full speed, just really creeps me out. Yeah, I don't know, there's just something really scary about them wanting me dead and running at me like that. Also, this area down by the Queen, I find pretty creepy. There's like this, these rocks here, and if you jump over them, I can just get over them here. See, there's a dead adventurer back here, or sorry, a dead hero. And if you search their corpse, this is kind of nice. They have a Daedric Daikatana worth 120,000. But it's just weird. It's like, how did they die? Did they really, like, could they really not defend themselves against the Kwama workers? Did they die of the blight somehow? Did they catch the blight and die back here? Were they just kind of hiding back here and they starved? It seems like they would have been able to defend themselves with this, but I don't know. I think that just kind of adds to the creepiness of this place. Yeah, just the fact that all the Kwama in here are diseased. And they immediately just start trying to attack you. The air is red, and you know, with the blight dust, whatever is making it red, I'm not really sure. But all the blighted egg mines all have this kind of red air to them. But this one I chose because it just, when I first found it, I was just kind of, I think it's probably the first blighted egg mine that I found, and I was just like, oh shit, because they started immediately running at me. I don't know. It was just a really scary experience, and I remember I just immediately, I walked in, saw one of these running at me way faster than you would expect, and I just immediately turned around and left. So yeah, less creepy maybe, and more, well, no, it's kind of creepy, but it's creepy, but it's also just straight up scary. Okay, now this third place is a pretty obvious one. Geez. This is Kogarun, not really sure how to say it. And this is a place that you're going to have to go for the main quest. So when you're first sent here by Sulamatul, who's the Ashcan of the Urshilaku tribe, he sends you here and he says basically that he went here. He asks you to get 3 tokens for him that he knows are in this place. And he says something like, I went there and I was very afraid. And yeah, it is a very disturbing place. Specifically, I wanted to talk about this area down here. So it's got these 3 rooms. They've all got locked doors. If you look behind the doors, it's just kind of weird. There's a dead person behind each door, a dead hero. And then you've got these like little totems, these little 6 house totems, and some furniture stacked up like they like to do. And I just find this place to be so weird and creepy. Because what happened here? Like, what exactly happened here? What's with these 3 rooms? I've seen people speculate on them. And I think I've seen people saying, like, oh, these were actually failed incarnates. Like people who tried to be the Nerevarine, but then they ended up dying in Kogarun. But if that's the case, why did they not show up with the failed incarnates that are in Azura's Cave, in the Cavern of Incarnate. They don't show up there. So I'm not sure if that's the ones that are in the Cavern of Incarnate are like all of the failed incarnates or how that works, but I've just seen people speculating about that. Because it's just weird that all three of them are behind these locked doors down here, and it's like, seems like there's really no purpose. You could just walk past and not ever discover them. Yeah, they've got some pretty good items. Something is just so weird about it. The fact that they all three have really good items, kind of does make them seem almost like player characters too. Like they've all got really things of value on them. But who put them in here? Who locked them behind these doors? Why do all three of them have this totem in the room? I just have a lot of questions about it, and I just find it really creepy. Kogarun itself is just a creepy place, but this place down here I just find particularly eerie for that reason. Okay, this next place is a Dunmer stronghold called Telecero. I discovered it while I was playing my character on Xbox, and I had visited multiple of these Dunmer stronghold 6th house places by this point, and this one just stood out to me. First of all, when you first enter, there's these 3 guys standing over here, and they start throwing things at you. Well, one of them is a corpus stalker, but the other 2, you know, they just immediately start throwing projectiles at you from across the ledge over there. So that's kind of interesting. And then if you continue going further down, so this is the place I was specifically thinking of when making the list, this room down here. And when I was playing Xbox and I came across this room, I don't know, there's just something about it. Just something about the architecture, the way that you can see the Ash statue all the way down there, down the hall. Something very foreboding, like the pillars, the way the room's just kind of long, and then you've got these, you know, troughs full of corpus meat. I mean, you see this kind of thing in a lot of these places, but it's just something about the way this particular room is set up where I was just like, that's really weird. And oddly, there's something a little relaxing about it too. I don't know why, maybe it's all the candles. But I was basically just fascinated by how this place is so eerie, but maybe a little bit relaxing too. It kind of put me into the mind of these, the dreamers or whatever they're called. Like the people that are being manipulated by Dagothr. And they take all their clothes off and they just hang out in these places with the corpus meat. It's like, really imagine being one of those people and this just seems perfectly normal to you. I don't know, just an interesting thought. And then again, this isn't anything particularly unique about these places, but if you go up here to the shrine, the Ash statue shrine, you see that they put some corpus meat offerings in front of it. And, yeah, I don't know, it's just it's something I'm really bad at explaining, but, you know, it's got all these smaller rooms, people in it that will try to kill you. Yeah, I guess it really does just come down to the architecture, and the way that that Ash statue back there at the end of the hall just kind of draws you in past all the pillars and the long hallway. Just something really eerie about that. This one is really kind of obvious. It kind of has to be in the list. This is another place that you'll go if you do the main quest. And it is the Corpusarium, which it is, Divithfir, the Telvanni wizard Divithfir. He puts, like, victims of corpus down here. It's sort of, it's a play on of the word sanitarium. He puts corpus victims down here, and they just sort of live down here, and apparently they're being taken care of and stuff, but they just sort of live down here in these eerie green caves. Like, as you can see, the caves have this sort of, like, sickly green color to the air. Something else that makes this place uniquely creepy is that before you walk in, there's this, Argonian, I think his name is, like, Vistakai, and he tells you that you're not allowed to attack any of the corpus victims in here because, you know, they live down here. So he's like, basically, you'll just have to avoid their attacks. Which isn't too hard because they're slow. But, yeah, there's just something real disturbing about not being able to really fight them, and you just kind of have to make sure they don't get you. And apparently there's treasures in here as well. You can go and loot the treasure. As you can see, it's really hard to get to because it's these trapped chests with really strong locks. But yeah, not only is this place just straight up disturbing because it's filled with these corpus victims that try to kill you, but I guess there's also something that's really sad about it. Just knowing that they're down here, they'll never be, like, they've got this incurable disease, and they're basically just in constant suffering. I guess they're being taken care of or whatever, but I don't know. I can't think of a good real-life comparison, but it's like they can't really... They've got this disease where it just kind of turns them into, like, really angry monsters with all these flesh growths. And just thinking about how, like, they're not aware of what's going on, and they're probably just in constant pain. And then, spoiler alert, if you haven't played this part of the game, maybe if you really care about spoilers, and if you don't already know this somehow, but you go to the Corpusarium when you yourself have corpus, so that makes it a lot scarier seeing what happened to these people, and just you kind of have that thought in mind. I mean, in the game you kind of figure, like, oh, you are gonna get cured because you're the main character, but it really sets up that feeling of, like, wow, that could be me soon if I don't get cured. And that just adds an extra layer of creepiness. Wow, look at that guy. It just looks like he's in pain. Clutching his head. Man, I feel really sorry for him. But yeah, I could make a whole video talking about Corpus, but this is just about creepy places, so I guess I'm gonna end this one now and go on to the next one. So this next place I find creepy, but also kind of relaxing. It's the Ursulaku Burial Caverns, and you're sent here also by Sul Matul the Ashcan. He sends you here to retrieve his father's bow. And it's creepy because right as you walk in, you've got all these mummies, and I find mummies really interesting in real life. I'm not sure what the mummification process of these mummies would have been, but they're all kind of set up with their weapons and their valuables. And as you walk down here, there's some rats and some skeleton warriors and such that you'd have to fight. I turned off the AI right now so I don't have to fight them. But I really love the design of this place. It's different than the traditional, like, ancestor tombs because it's in this cave that's got these sort of water features. It's got these little springs with, like, they've decorated skulls around the place. And then you've got this room called the Lateris Burial. And they've got mummies, like, on it's got this big rock structure with this kind of twisting path. It's very precarious, and you've got these waterfalls cascading down. It's a really kind of beautiful place, to be honest. But you've got more mummies, kind of, like that one I think has a book, probably would have been their favorite book. And yeah, there's something creepy but also kind of endearing about this. Just the way that they've set up their dead with the items that they're remembered by. And they did put them in a beautiful place here. The whole place kind of has this blue glow to it that I find really appealing. I noticed that a lot of these mummies, they have like beetle shells that are kind of over them or around them, maybe to kind of protect them from the water. I'm not really sure. See, that one's got a glass sword called Mage Bane. You could take these items from the mummies. I never do because I just kind of roleplay, I guess, and I feel like it's disrespectful to take the items from them. But yeah, although this place is creepy, I do also find it quite relaxing with these sort of aqua hot springs that are located in the cave here. And just the kind of respect that they've showed their dead by making them almost decorative. It makes me kind of imagine like what they would have been like in life. You do also feel like you're being watched down here because of the implication that all these spirits are down here. As you walk by the mummies, you kind of feel like they're watching you in a way, which makes it creepy. So this next place on the list is the Daedric ruin of Ashamalwia. And basically it's a shrine to Molag Bal. A man named Sasson asks you to go here and find his wife, Malexa. He says that she was kidnapped by cultists in order to do, you know, like a ritual sacrifice. She's actually just in this room to the right. So after you kill the cultists in the first room, she's pretty easy to get to. But yeah, I chose this place because just kind of what it makes me think of, like the fact, like imagine that your wife got kidnapped by basically people who probably want to use her for like human sacrifice. And Molag Bal in the game, he's the god of like rape and domination and evil stuff. He's basically kind of like the devil, the equivalent to the devil as far as Daedric lords go. You know, he's got these horns and fangs. I just want to point out that his name and a little bit his appearance, especially in this game more than the future games, I think he sort of resembles real life gods that people sacrifice people to. It's probably been pointed out before, but his name, Molag Bal, makes me think of the names Moloch and Baal, or Baal, not sure how to say that, but basically those are two gods in real life that are known for human sacrifice, specifically child sacrifice, and I think they probably were inspired by that when they made him. So yeah, basically I chose this place because of the quest behind it, the fact it's a shrine to Molag Bal, which I find scary, and the references to human sacrifice. I think this quest reflects situations in real life which probably occurred but are just really scary to think about, something like that existing. I also find this room really scary. If you go to the left from the first room, you get to this big area called the Sunken Vaults, and just the architecture of this place is creepy. I find it really weird that this guy chooses to sleep down here. But yeah, just putting yourself in the mind, trying to put yourself in the mind of like people who would worship a god like that and who would perform human sacrifice. Just very disturbing and makes you wonder why anyone would do that. And I don't know, just kind of the psychology of that all makes this place really disturbing to me. The fact that Sasson's wife was probably very close to being sacrificed. The next place on the list is Dubdia, I don't know how to say it. But basically, it's this big cave with an underwater, it's an underwater cave system. So I just found this place in my most recent playthrough. So I included this place because the idea of it is just really scary. Like, I know there's people in real life who have explored underwater caves, and I just feel like That's such an insane thing to do. Oh my gosh, don't die. And it's just a big place. It goes on and on and on. It's got Daedra in it. It's got these hungers. Just imagining getting lost in a place like this. It really would just be such a nightmare. I mean, in this universe, people do have ways of teleporting away from places, but if you didn't have any of that at your disposal, you would just be forced to traverse these big, massive underwater cave system. Something I find particularly weird and creepy, it stuck out to me, is this door that's kind of on the ceiling up there. It's kind of at a really weird angle. I don't know, just find that a bit disturbing on top of everything else. So yeah, this one is less creepy as an eerie and more just kind of a terrifying nightmare, especially if you don't like water-related things. But I felt like I had to include it in the list because it is very unique. So this next place is called a Hinny Palette. A Hinny Palette. And it's a shrine to Sheogorath, which is located in Vivec. I believe it's located in St. Badelyn, in the Underworks. So it's basically a shrine to Sheogorath down here in the sewer kind of area. And it's not the shrine itself that I find disturbing. It's more of just the location of it, the fact that it's kind of hidden down here in Vivec. And the architecture, like, you've got these wooden supports kind of holding the place up. You don't normally see this in Vivec. It makes me feel like this place could collapse onto you at some point. The shrine itself is kind of creepy, how he's just standing there with the red candles. And then back here is a room, just like basically a kind of a normal bedroom. And I don't know, I just find this room and the way that it's designed and the way that it's set up to be really weird and disturbing in a way that I can't really place. I guess it's appropriate for a shrine to Sheogorath that it would feel weird like this, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what's so weird about it. It's just all these little things. It's the fact that you could just come across this place and not just randomly, not knowing it was here at all. Just exploring the Underworks, and then you happen across this shrine, this Daedric shrine. It's just a strange feeling. And like I said, the architecture, I think because this type of room, I haven't really seen before in Vivec. Like, it's obviously got, you know, the building blocks of other places in Vivec, but it's just the way this specific room is set up. It's almost like, I don't know, it makes me wonder if this was ever something else going on here before it was this shrine to Sheogorath. Like, how did they get this statue up here? Or is this just kind of like, do people actually know this is down here and they don't really talk about it? Why does it need these wooden supports across the room that we don't really see in other parts of Vivec? Like, what's going on above this place? We actually aren't able to go directly above it in the game, because if you come up here, up this ladder, the shrine is right over there. So whatever is above it that's causing it to need these wooden supports, we just don't know. I don't know, probably I'm thinking way too deeply on this, but yeah, like with most of these, it's just the architecture itself that creeps me out, not really the fact it's a Daedric shrine. It just stands out to me and it's really weird. So this next location is another place that you'll have to go in the main quest, the 6th house base that you're sent to called Illinibi. And on top of this place being a 6th house base, which already makes it creepy, one thing that really creeps me out about it is the names of the different rooms. There's Carcass of the Saint, Marrowwack's Spine, Blackened Heart, and Soul's Rattle. Soul's Rattle is the deepest location that you can go. Something that I find especially creepy about the Soul's Rattle is when I entered this room and I made a save, you know, for the video, I got attacked by the usual dreamers and all that, but before any of them could even hit me, I noticed that I contracted withers. Unless it was just an oversight on my part, maybe one of them hit me and it didn't look like it, because that, you know, this is Morrowind and sometimes that happens, but I swear they had like not finished running up to me yet, and so it's like I contracted a disease by just being in this room. I'm pretty sure is what happened there. I don't know if that can happen when you stand next to these smoking ash statues, or if that's just a quality of this room, or like I said, if just maybe one of them did hit me and I didn't notice, but it really seemed like I just walked in here and contracted a disease immediately. So that is really disturbing, just to think that the air in this room is so diseased that even just breathing in a little bit of the air, you immediately contract something. The next place I find creepy is this area. If you're not familiar, this is the Puzzle Canal Center in Vivec. So the Puzzle Canals are weird. They are these areas underneath Vivec's palace, and they are tied to like a temple quest that you have to do. Again, I've never done the temple quest line, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I did look up what the deal was with this place. And apparently, so you get here, you go through some sewers. They look like normal sewers, that kind of area that are underneath Vivec's palace. And then eventually you get to this room called the Puzzle Canal Center. There's this one shrine here, you go up to it. It says, "Breathe the waters of his glory and the way is made clear." And so that's sort of a hint as to what you're supposed to do to open that place up over there. You have to literally go down into the water and let yourself run out of breath. And then you just have to quite literally let yourself drown. Then you hear this, and you go up, and a bridge has opened up here. And across the bridge up here, another shrine, and there's a Dremora named Krast. He says to you, "Are you here on the pilgrimage? Read the shrine." You read the shrine. It says, "Here Vivec gave a plain silver longsword to the Daedra Lord Mehrunes Dagon rather than dishonor himself by fighting an unarmed foe." And then so this guy tells you, "Are you here on the pilgrimage? Do you have a silver longsword for me?" And I actually don't, and I'm not here on the pilgrimage. So all of that is neither here nor there. I just kind of wanted to explain the purpose of this place. But I chose this place because I discovered it completely randomly while I was playing the game one time. And once again, I know this is probably getting old as a reason for why I find places creepy, but this is just usually the reason. I just find the architecture of this place to be really creepy. Just the fact that it's this big flooded room that the sewers lead to, and it looks different than any of the other kind of sewers or underworks area. But yeah, there's just something about how it's this massive room that's just underneath the palace. You could play the whole game and just never find this place, which was the case for me until I just randomly came across it. And I guess if you do the temple quest line, then you would be sent here because of the pilgrimage, but for me to just happen across this place randomly made it creepier for me. I don't know, maybe it's not particularly creepy, but there's just something about a big, massive room with no windows, and it's just kind of flooded with water, and it looks kind of dirty in here. And the fact that you have to drown yourself in order to like open up that door. But this is definitely one that's not, it's less outright scary and more just like it gives me a weird kind of eerie feeling, this room. Just looking around this room, it kind of reminds me of like weird sort of dreams that I've had. Just the colors, the sort of dull brown colors that I guess the rest of Vivek looks like this, but again, there's just something in particular about this big room. I just find it to be really kind of unsettling. I don't know. So the next place I've chosen is this, the barrows in Solstheim specifically. I've gone into this one, Skog's Drake Barrow. And with this one, yeah, it is scary, I guess, because these bone wolves attack you, but that's not really what makes it creepy to me. What makes it creepy is just this sort of, once again, I keep saying it, but just the look of it overall, like the architecture, like basically how this is kind of part cave, part man-made. And it's just this really dark cave with a couple fires here and there. As you walk around, you just don't know what's going to be around the corner. And this barrow has a particular look to me, but to me the Draugr ruins in Skyrim never really give me this feeling, which is like, it really feels like if you happened across an ancient cave or something, like a place that people would have lived in ancient times. That's kind of the feeling this gives me. Just the way that it sort of wraps around. It's got, you know, and any cave kind of, like caves have this feeling where it's like you just keep going and you don't know what's going to be around the corner. It's not very big, but it does just give me that sort of feeling, like, oh, I could get lost in here. Like, just instinctually, like, this is a cave that I could keep going and I could get lost in here. It's just that one little skull right there, which is weird. Again, this one is not particularly outright scary to me. It's just sort of got, it's just got all these little things that make it eerie, like the fact that it's a dark cave and you feel like there could always be someone watching you or someone around the corner here. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to explain it. Really struggling to explain what I mean. It just makes me think of like back when people kind of lived in caves or you know, before buildings when everything was in a cave. I don't know what I'm saying. It just creeps me out. This next place is another place that you'll have to go for the main quest line, and it is Andrano Ancestral Tomb. And basically you have to come to this tomb to get a man's skull for somebody. He's got apparently a special skull with ritualistic markings in it, and you have to get it and bring it to this necromancer basically in order to advance in the main quest. And what I find particularly creepy about this place is literally like the whole place is creepy because it's an ancestral tomb, but specifically there's something about this room here. There's this room kind of in the middle with this open ceiling, and it's got this lectern and it's got these little seats, these little stools, where you can imagine that in the past someone would get up here and read from the book, and people would be sitting here listening. I think just the fact that you don't even have to come in this room, but they bothered to put it here. Just something really weird about it, and kind of the, it's one of those things where the implication that there was life here at some point, there was people who would gather here and to maybe read, you know, books about their religion, about the tribunal. And just kind of imagining that and seeing it now empty and it's in this, it's just this whole creepy like ancestral tomb. I don't know, just something about that creeps me out, along with the fact that it's just kind of this little closed in room, but it's got this tall open ceiling that leads up to the top part of the tomb. Yeah, I guess I'm struggling to explain this one, but really it just comes down to thinking about how this place was probably lively at some point, but now it's just dead. It makes me wonder more about the ancestral tombs in general. Like, were they Were a lot of them being used for other purposes before they became ancestral tombs? Or is this more just like one of those things where they've set this up for the dead, like for the spirits, like they were like, okay, let's set up a lectern with the book about our religion and some little stools, and then the spirits can kind of come here and still, listen to it as if they were living life still. It might be one of those situations, but I'm just not sure. But I wish there was a word for this, but it maybe there is, but it just definitely gives me that creepy feeling of like you're in a place where there should be people, but there's not people. You know what I mean? Next place on the list is Morrowind Manor. Morrowind Manor is, you're sent here on, if you do the Redoran quest line, you'll be sent to this manor, which was the home of Counselor Morrowind. I believe the story is that their manor was taken over by Corporus monsters, and that they killed her husband, so now it's just her. And now she's living in Aldscar, basically. But kind of like some of the other places on the list, what makes this so creepy to me is the story behind it, and just the fact that this was a place that was somebody's home, but now it's just in complete wreckage. It's basically like been taken over by zombies. You can actually find Ramus Morvain's body here, which I think must have been her husband. So yeah, just the fact that this place was overtaken by so many Corpus monsters that nobody's even done anything about it for a while, and then they just kind of send you in here to take care of the issue, clean the place out. If you go in here, in this bedroom, it looks like there's been a little shrine set up to the 6th house. Actually a really beautiful tapestry. But yeah, they've got their signature red candles there. And something about this place, obviously this is creepy, but also just kind of makes me sad to think about how they had this big, beautiful manor, and it's just been completely destroyed by these monsters. Just the horrible nature of this, I don't know. I think it is a really interesting story, and it kind of makes you think about the severity of the situation with the 6th house and the Corporus, and what, basically the lives that Dagothr is ruining. Yeah, I also find it creepy how just insanely dark it is down here in this room. There is some candles and stuff in the house, but in this big main room down here, it is just really, really dark, which just adds to the unsettling feeling of this place. This one's definitely, I would say it's creepy and also scary. It's really just both. It's really the fact that this was someone's home where they were supposed to be comfortable, and then it's just been turned into this complete nightmare. This next location, honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to add it to the list or not, but it is the Mournhold sewers. Now, the sewers are really big, they just go on and on and on. And for this one, I guess it's less the look of the place that is creepy and more just like the fact that there are these goblins around any corner that if you're not high enough level, they can easily just kill you with one hit. And like I said, they just go on and on and on. It's like there's no end to them. You're just always worried that around the next corner is going to be another goblin, especially if you're trying to sneak through this place. It can just be really, really nerve-wracking. Like, earlier in my most recent playthrough, that's what happened to me, is I wasn't nearly high enough level to really fight the goblins. And so I was just trying my best to sneak around the place, and yeah, it's just good luck, I guess. I don't know. It's really difficult. Really gives that sense of, oh, I'm in a place that I really shouldn't be. I'm not sure exactly what level you have to be in order for to not worry about the goblins, but definitely you have to be pretty high level, because it's, this is a DLC that came out. It's like they expected the player to be a pretty high level at this point when they put this DLC out. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the goblins themselves are pretty disturbing, just the look of them. I definitely find them to look more disturbing than the ones in Oblivion. Something about their mouths, I guess. There's also these kind of pets that they have. the Durzogs, which I really like the look of them. But yeah, just the massive size of these sewers, the way you can easily get lost in them, and the fact that there's just really strong goblins around every corner. Ouch. So that's why I added it to the list, even though I don't think it's one of the most creepy places just based on like the way it looks and stuff. But it's more just like the feeling that you're likely to have while traveling through this place. I guess the right word would be suspense, like you constantly have this feeling of suspense when traveling through this place. Just knowing this is all going on underneath Mournhold too is just creepy. This next place is the Foreign Quarter Tomb. Literally, it's just called the Foreign Quarter Tomb, and it's just exactly what it sounds like. It's a tomb that is located in the Foreign Quarter, in the Wasteworks. There's lots of ghosts in here. I think what makes it creepy to me isn't just that it's a tomb, it's the fact that, again, it's one of those places that I just stumbled across in my playthrough. I don't know, it's just kind of weird for this tomb to be here, located in a residential area next to shops and stuff. And I could be remembering wrong, but I seem to remember stumbling in here, and it was one of my very early playthroughs, and it was the first time that I encountered a Bone Lord, which I'm not seeing in here. It might be that they get summoned, or maybe I'm just remembering wrong, honestly. But yeah, it was just really creepy. If you've ever seen a Bone Lord, they're like these floating kind of, I think they've got this like big robe and then their skull is floating. They've got like no neck. Just a really weird, creepy enemy. But right now I'm only seeing ghosts in here. But another thing that makes this creepy, other than just the strange location of it, is it's another place that's kind of convoluted in its build, like you could easily get lost in here. It's not very big, I don't think, it's just sort of the way that it's built. And compared to other tombs, it's got so many ghosts in it. It seems like next to each one of these ash pits with the bones in them, there's always an ancestor ghost. Maybe the person that was put in the ash pit. And yeah, you can use this place to go in between the two canal works. I think earlier I said wasteworks, I meant canal works, sorry. You can travel in between the two canal works using this place, which I think early on in my playthrough I thought that that's what you had to do, and so I was like, that's really disturbing. Oh, but no, you don't have to do that to get in between them, but it's just an option. And yeah, it's really just weird to me, like, is this where all the residents of Vivec put their dead? I would have to imagine it is. But how often do people really come in here is something I wonder. There's also some bones that are just kind of strewn about, which I also find a bit weird. I mean, I guess you see that in other ancestor tombs, but it's like, why would they not be put in the ash pits with the other bones? Maybe the rats pulled them out? I don't know, it's just really a bit weird to me that you have, you know, the trader, you have the clothing store, and then just right next door you have the tomb. I guess it makes sense for Dunmer culture, but something about that is just a bit weird to me. This next location you might be looking at and you might think, well, this actually seems really cozy. And I suppose it kinda is in this spot next to the campfire here. But this is one of those places where it's not so much the architecture, the actual look of the place, but it's more just the concept and the idea of the place that I think is creepy. And this is the inside of the Ministry of Truth, which the Ministry of Truth is the moon that Vivec keeps floating above his palace. And it's basically used as a sort of prison to keep heretics inside. So anybody who questions the tribunal is at risk for being put in this prison. You actually will have to come here during the main quest, and you'll have to help someone escape one of these cells, and I find this really... it's just weird. Like, there's no windows in here. It's literally like the inside of a giant rock. The room is just this extremely empty little carved out area in the rock with just one bed, one torch. There's really nothing in here. It makes me think of like, this really is like solitary confinement. Like you would just be trapped with your thoughts in here. And I find it really unique that it is located inside this big rock, which they call a moon, but honestly it's just a big rock that Vivek keeps floating. Might actually be a piece of a moon, I forget how that goes in the lore. But basically it is a big rock that Sheogorath sent hurling at Vivek City, and then Vivek, in his infinite stupidity and arrogance, decided to make it just float above the city. And so it's really kind of a beautiful, impressive structure, but if you know what ends up happening with it, it's really sad. Apparently once Vivek's powers get weakened, he's unable to hold the rock up anymore, and it just sort of drops into the ocean near Vivek, and then it causes a volcanic eruption, basically, from Red Mountain. But yeah, I just find it to be sort of a beautiful, but also tragic and disturbing place. Because think about if you got locked up in here, there's really, like what happened, like, even if you're able to escape the holding cells, you get out here and it's just, you're up here floating. Like, if you didn't know a sort of levitation spell or whatever, like, what do? Do you try to jump down into the water? There is also teleportation spells in this game, so that would be your best bet, honestly, but if you didn't have access to any of those things, I mean, you're pretty much fucked, because you're just up here floating in a giant rock. Yeah, I guess that's what makes it really kind of disturbing and creepy to me, is just the hopelessness of it. I've never gone into this little room, actually. I find this interesting, but that's neither here nor there. I find it to be a really interesting creative concept of floating moon prison. But just imagining if you got put here because all you did was question the tribunal and the validity of their godhood. Yeah, it's just a disturbing concept to me. The next place on the list is the Caldera Mine. Caldera is a little imperial town. The mine is located just over the hill from the town. And there's something about this area which I've always found creepy. I think first of all, it's just the emptiness of it. There's also just no, like, grass or anything in here. It's just this kind of really bleak area where they've put the mine. And there's, like, nobody walking around out here. So yeah, just the vastness of this place that's kind of closed in by these mountains, and just the emptiness of it. I guess that's why I find it creepy down here. You'd think there'd be at least one or two people walking around, but nope. There's these little slave shacks because they've got slaves working in the mines here. But yeah, this place just feels unsettlingly empty to me. And just the gray color that the entire place is made up of. I guess it's sort of in the ashlands here. But it's weird because, like I said, it's really just this little area that's surrounded by mountains. Yeah, maybe I'm alone in this, but just anytime I come across this area, it just gives me the creeps. So the next place I find creepy is this specific ancestral tomb. It's called Sandus Ancestral Tomb. And I've put it on the list because it's got a unique feature. You can see there's this skeleton laying on the table there. There's also one in here. And if you go through this door to the left of the tomb, you'll find this chest up here. Go to activate it. It says you suddenly feel quite cold. Turn around, and actually both skeletons who were lying down have now come to life to attack you. So I decided to include this tomb because it is the only ancestral tomb that I'm aware of that has this sort of unique feature. This is one where the look of the place is not particularly like that creepy to me compared to other places, but just the fact that if you weren't expecting that, it could definitely be like a jump scare having those two skeletons get up from the dead and come to attack you. I do think it's a really cool feature that would have been nice used in some other areas as well, but I guess it makes it more unique that it's pretty much just this tomb that has that feature. So yeah, whichever developer thought to do that, that was really cool. And it makes this tomb quite memorable. And then if you open the chest, you can see there's a set of orcish armor in here. Something I just thought about and I don't know why is, so the skeleton was laying on this table, but then there's these two like candlesticks with skulls on them. So if the skeleton is the noble guard, who are these skulls? Who did these skulls belong to? Servants, maybe? I don't know, I just find that interesting. It's not a very big tomb, just makes it kind of unique that it has that feature. So this next place, and it's not actually the place you're looking at right now, this one is a little bit of cheating maybe, because it's not really a place that you could naturally go to in the game. You would have to teleport there, and I thought about including more than one of those kind of places, but I was like, no, I really want to do mostly the places that you could actually go to, like, in the base game. But I just had to include this one because I discovered it while I was making the relaxing places in Morrowind video. I was trying to teleport to Solstheim, and that's when I discovered this, this really weird sort of place that is not Solstheim. So, if you go to the console and you type COC Solstheim, you're teleported in here, in this black abyss, and let me toggle collision off so I can move around. You are teleported literally inside this statue, which is a statue of Molag Bal. I just found that to be insanely creepy. I don't know why the developers did this. I'm sure there's like a logical reason for this, but when I discovered this, I was just like, this one might be the most creepy to me just because it's like, why? Why am I teleported inside a Molag Bal statue in a black abyss? There probably is some functional reason as to why they made this place, but I don't know what it is. And it really creeped me out when I discovered it. And I was like, why don't I see more people talking about this? Yeah, I don't know, just, I mean, do I even have to explain why this is creepy? Like, the fact that you're in a black, endless abyss, and you're teleported literally inside of a statue of what is pretty much the devil. Yeah, I mean, that's just really disturbing. This is probably the most disturbing place to me, even though it's not an actual place you can go to without teleporting. This honestly may have been the inspiration for the Creepy Places video, because, like I said, I discovered it while making the video of relaxing places, and I was just like, I have to talk about this. This is really weird. So yeah, that was top 20 creepy places in Morrowind in no particular order. Be sure to comment below and let me know what places that you found really creepy that I may have forgotten in the list. And yeah, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me when you guys leave comments and like the video and stuff. I can't stress that enough. It's just really, really nice to get engagement with the video. So yeah, thank you so much for doing that with the last video, and hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.